everyone. Hello and happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to this week's edition of What's Going On in the Housing Market. By the way, I'm Wendy Pinnell, and we are your host, and this is Dale Pinnell. We are Dallas Realtors. If you didn't know that about us already, we've been doing the real estate thing since about 2007, give or take. That's when I first got licensed, and
a little more.
Yeah, and then Dale joined in with the company around 2018. So a little bit about us. Everybody chime in. Tell us where you are viewing from and how's your evening? What's going on? There's Drink. Purple Drink, our buddy Purple Drink. Hello, Dale and Wendy. Hello to you. How are you? Hope you are having a good Tuesday night. Last week, we were talking about mortgage rate predictions, rates. We were talking about like what everybody... how many people are waiting for lower rates to buy? And so, what?
I don't know.
What are you talking about? Where's that coming from? You have some hidden secret going on there?
I'm glad you're having a good day.
Good. Glad to hear it. We are having a great day, too. We really are. In fact, it's Tuesday, and we've already gotten 2 houses under contract this week. So looking good here. Having a good week. Hey, Jamar. Hey, y'all. Thank you. I don't recognize your name, so thank you for chiming in. And hopefully you'll become a regular weekly visitor with us. Anyway, so last week we were talking about like what you were looking at in terms of interest rates and what you would do. And so it just made sense to me that we go ahead and talk about how to get a low interest rate this week. And we have Mr. OL. Hello. Good evening. So what I want to show you guys today, I tell you what I want to do. I want to start out with our stats. I'm not. I planned ahead. I want to start out with our stats tonight, guys. Usually I do that towards the end, but this really relates to what I want to talk to you. We're going to shake it up today. We're going to go ahead and talk about numbers first.
Sounds good. Okay.
This first slide is right now, real time today. Okay. And this is the entire Metroplex home. Okay, and I wanted to present it way because I want to show you guys the in inventory between pre-owned and new construction. What you have to see here is you've got huge opportunity in the pre-owned sphere, and look at how much higher their inventory is than new construction. And both of them are up. Like we have, inventory up for both, but in the pre-owns, the sellers are having a hard time, and I think I don't know what separates them from being successful is they can't do the forward commitment to get the rates down to 4%. And so that's really what, let me show you.
But they can, give concessions towards.
They can do a rate buy down. Yeah. They just can't do it as effectively as new construction.
Yeah.
But okay, so let me show you those numbers. All right, here we go. Let's see here now. Here we go. Am I showing that? Okay, here we have Denton County. You can see that pre-owned inventory is up 54%. All right, and then new construction is up too. It's only by 16%. Okay, so this is real time today's data. Okay, this is what I looked up today. Okay, then we have Collin County. And Collin County, same story. Look at how high inventory is on those pre-owned homes, 55%. All right, that's how high their inventory is year over year. And then we have new construction, okay, coming in high again at 27%. But are you guys seeing just the huge difference there? Let's take a look at Tarrant County. We've got pre-owns up 17.3% and new construction up 9%. So not quite as big of a difference. Then we have Dallas County, okay, up 29% with pre-owns, new construction up 6%. And Dallas County doesn't have a ton of new construction, not nearly as like Collin County. It's got Mesquite, DeSoto. It's got those areas.
Some of that Mesquite, though, is Kaufman County, though.
Yeah. And we've got Rockwall County. Okay. Our pre-owns are up 44.9%. Okay. That's how many homes for sale year over year. That's the increase. Okay. And then new construction is up 25%. All right. So I hope you guys are seeing the trend here. And this is across all of these counties. Now we have Kaufman County.
One, wow.
This is our closest one. Okay. Pre-owned up 18.4%, new construction up 14%. So in Kaufman County, that's the closest Whereas like in Collin County and Denton County, we're seeing like a huge difference in our pre-owns. All right, Ellis County. All right, Ellis County,
Wow.
it's up. Yeah, Ellis County's continuing to look strong. And I often talk
We're
about how
selling
that's,
there, yeah.
I often talk about how that's kind of our undiscovered county, but clearly it's getting discovered. Now, this is on, by the way, the south side, but it's up. The pre-owned is up 7.2%, and then new construction is down 4.7%. So you guys, I hope you're seeing that. What were you going to say?
I was going to say for Ellis County, though, that kind of makes sense because the last couple of years, they're, especially last year, but even before that, their inventory was really high, though, high compared to a lot of other counties and stuff. So
yeah, very true. So what we wanted to talk to you guys about today, since the break between why you're not doing the pre-owns right and why you're going with new construction, I think a big part of it is those mortgage rates. And so what I wanted to do is talk to you guys about, let's go ahead and bring it up here. Let's go back over here. Let's talk about assumables. All right. So we are going to talk about assumable loans. And guys, I will tell you right now, one of the things we're going to see with assumable loans is it requires a bigger down payment. And some of you watching, in fact, please feel free to chime in. Some of you are going to look at that and laugh and go, that's the most ridiculous thing. I don't have $100,000 down. Okay. Some of you will. When we first bought our first house, I was 20. We sure didn't have it. And so what I want to encourage you with is that it's just because it's not your season yet.
yeah.
Okay. You get your foot in the door, you let the equity build, and then the next thing you know, you do have it. So what we're going to talk about does require a high down payment. And you may think, that's unrealistic. That'll never happen. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. We actually have buyers who come in, they're looking at a $600,000 house, right? They only qualify for a $100,000 mortgage. Okay. So think about that difference. It's just that they've owned a home for a really long time.
Yeah.
Right. And then they didn't spend the equity.
But if over the years, if you buy well, you can get good equity each time and actually have that each time you sell, so you can go move up.
Exactly. Yeah. And you just move up. It's called being a move up buyer, move up buyer, move up buyer. And so even if this doesn't sound realistic to you guys, I promise you, it's just because you're not in the season yet. You become a homeowner wisely. Okay. Make sure it's a good investment. Don't be impulsive. Make sure you're getting the right deal. And then you just let it go up in value. Right. And then eventually you do become very much to where you could do these assumable loans. So let's go ahead. Let's answer a couple questions, and then we'll jump back into our article.
Talking about what you were talking about last week.
I was just watching one of the content creators, and he revealed that Trump had built a $27 billion surplus in the Treasury. Wow. Had you heard that as well?
I know. I didn't know the number. I did see they have from the tariffs. They got a bunch.
I heard that they had a lot come in.
Surplus was
from
pretty
the tariffs.
High.
So I didn't know it was that
good.
much either. And let's see, Purple Drink talks about it again. He says, yes, that's exactly what we were saying because of the tariffs. Yeah. All right, let's see. Well, hello, DV. Hello again. Well, hello, you. If you didn't know, Watercolor, is currently pre-selling single-family homes. D.R. Horton starting at $425,000. Bees are starting at $450,000. All right, so you guys have that one on your radar. All right, let's see what Mr. OL says. There seem to be lots of inventory, but are those homes selling? I'm inclined to think that the new construction homes sell more than pre-owned. Yes, you're exactly right. And that's why there's such a difference and why there's so many more homes for sale is because these pre-owned sellers, they can't get these homes to sell.
Yeah. And if they're in neighborhoods that are close to or either have new construction in them or close to neighborhoods that have new construction in them, they're competing against that. And a lot of them, I mean, there's some areas definitely we're seeing where the pre-owns are losing to that. So
they really are. Sell. Yeah. The ones that had the high down. Yeah. I mean, they really are. And so that's opportunity. Hi, Dale and Wendy. We just closed on our new construction home today. Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to country living. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And that is very cool. Congratulations. There's a lot to be said of country living. You can still get it in the exurbs.
Oh, yeah.
So that is really neat. Well, that is good. Closing day is very exciting. I bet. What do you think? Dale just recently had a closing with Highland Homes where they literally brought out champagne.
Yeah.
I
Well, that was
wonder.
Perry, actually.
Oh,
but
Perry,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I wonder if they're
Yeah.
like the only one that does that, like crack
That
open
was
the,
cool.
the
So we had a
champagne.
good
I
little
thought that was really cool.
celebration. It was
Yeah.
nice.
All right, let's go ahead and get back to our article. And we're going to learn a little bit about assumable mortgages. And again, guys, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this doesn't apply to me, I don't have a big down payment, it's just that it's not there yet. Okay. Be patient. That season will come. All right, let's take a look here. Assumable mortgages gain traction as Texas housing inventory spikes. The Texas housing market continues to challenge sellers as inventory reaches its highest level in 14 years, according to new research from the Texas Real Estate Research Center. That's true. I agree with that. I was looking today at the data and was seeing the same thing. High interest rates and economic uncertainty are keeping many buyers away, but some buyers are finding opportunities to lock in mortgage rates as low as 2.5%. Now, you guys remember last week I was asking everybody who had the lowest rate?
Right.
Remember?
Yeah, we had
that was yeah, we did. Didn't we have like a 2.25?
I think so.
So those, you guys got to think about the fact you could assume those mortgages. Okay, it's not rocket science. It's not that difficult. I think the biggest problem is people don't know about them. So it's very possible. Okay. All right, let's see here now. Several real estate agents say more people are exploring assumable mortgages, and they should. That's when a buyer takes on the seller's existing loan balance and the lower rate.
Yeah.
The lower rate being your key point here.
Yep.
Homes for sale with low rates can be found through Rome.com. And we're going to look at that website here in just a minute. The company's online description shows it helps manage the assumption process for a fee. You don't have to use them for that, but they're a great data source.
Yeah, you can look up properties and see. But
it also allows you to search for homes in your desired area. From what I found looking at Rome is that the free version is plenty.
Yeah.
You know, the free version is very helpful. I haven't seen a reason to pay for, the paid version. All right, let's see. Where are we now? Only government-backed loans are assumable, such as FHA, VA, or USDA. Buyers still have to qualify and cover the gap between the loan balance and the sales price. All right. So a particular one person, Wilson's clients had cash. Okay. But there's another realtor, Terry Hendricks, who said specialized lending is another option. And I do want to jump in here to point out something that's important to know, which is a difference with assumable loans is you won't know if you're pre-approved or not until after you've spent money on the option fee. Yeah. And after you've spent money on the inspection, okay? Because you're not picking the lender, right? You're using their lender.
Yeah. Basically, put in an offer, get under contract, and then the seller sends that contract to their lender, and then that lender sends them a packet for the seller to fill out, and then for the buyer to fill out, and then they start the process. And for some of them they can go fast, some of them could take a couple months or so.
Yeah. So go ahead and before you ever even put an offer in on a assumable, get pre-approved with a third-party lender. Yeah. Okay, because you don't want to spend money, $500 on an inspection, maybe $250 on an option period. You're out $750, and suddenly you find out you're not pre-approved. Okay, you don't get that money back. So make sure that you get pre-approved with the lender first, because again, underwriting, the lender won't even open up the file until there's a signed contract, right? That's kind of typically how that process works. All right, here we go.
Also, just because we find the properties on Rome and they say that the loan is assumable doesn't mean the seller wants to do that. So,
that's a great point. And it's also kind of really makes the point of the fact that these sellers are exposed and they're motivated. Because that gives you a better market. Yeah. Because a lot of the sellers also, they've never heard of it. A lot of the realtors don't know anything about it. And so when, for example, we're reaching out to the listing agent and they're like, they don't know what it is. They've never heard of it. And so they are the gatekeeper to the seller. And we're trying to explain it in just real kind of basic terms. So there is kind of a factor of almost, I guess you could say, ignorance. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're not familiar with it. So that is a problem. Okay, let's see where we were. All right. If you want to find homes, I already read this page, right? With Rome.com, you can put in your zip code or city and it will show you homes that are on the market, the assumable loan rates, and the difference in the mortgage amounts with Assumable versus the current rate. If you have questions about the process, experts recommend you discuss your unique situation with a real estate agent, mortgage lender, or another trusted advisor. With Rome also will tell you the estimated amount of cash that you might have to bring to the table to cover the seller's equity. And so from there, you can be like, okay, so I know this one won't work. Like if you've got like 100,000, right? And you see one that requires 170,000, you're like, okay, that one's not going to work. So it's great. I've got a couple comments here. Let me jump in and do some of these comments. Let's see. I'm curious to know the average list to sale price ratio with these sale numbers. List to sales price. DB, that is a great question. However, when we talk about list to sales price, I think with pre-owns, pretty accurate. Okay. With new construction, you're not going to get any accuracy there. Okay. And the reason is because we've talked about this before. Our home builders, they spike prices, then they lower them, then they raise them, then they lower them. And so the original list price or even the final list price is really not an indication of the builder's motivation. It's more an indication of how good they were at convincing you what the house was worth. Okay. So I think in the pre-owned sphere, it does give us some great information. I think, like right now, if we were to look at list to sales price ratios in new construction, they're going to look like probably like a slaughterhouse, right? They're going to look bad, but that doesn't mean anything.
If they're inventory homes. And that's usually the ones you're going to see on MLS. The build ones you're not going to see most of the time.
Right. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I forgot about being able to assume a mortgage. Absolutely. Great point. Thank you, Rhonda. And hello, Rhonda. Thank you for coming back. Yes, we got to talk about these. They're just, nobody is talking about them. And there's just such an opportunity there. When you couple the fact that that inventory is so much higher and you've got so many motivated sellers and you bridge the gap by being able to assume it. And then you can get an even lower rate than what the builders can do. Okay, let's see here. A lot of veterans won't let you assume them since they would lose that benefit unless another vet takes it. That's absolutely correct, Roberto. Your best opportunity is with FHA, for sure.
So I have seen, we've had a couple of deals where we did those, and both the husband and wife are veterans, and so they just use one of them or not the other one. So,
so there's ways. We're working with a buyer right now who has the VA entitlement, and I was like, man, we really need to look at like some assumables because you can actually assume it,
Also depends on what the loan amount is too. So how much entitlement you have left. So
it is. But that's an excellent point, Roberto. And thank you for chiming in on that. FHA are much cleaner, right? From that standpoint, VAs can be done, but would the buyer end up paying a premium on the sales price of going with an assumable loan property? DB, why would they?
Yeah. I mean, you still negotiate the sales price.
Yeah. And I'm also going to show you in a minute how you can find out how much equity the seller has. So let's just say you've got a motivated seller right here, and they've got an assumable loan and they have a ton of equity. And you're like, listen, I just so happens this is all the cash I have. I'll assume it. And the next thing you know, you can get them down on price. Okay. So a big part of this package and this success is the fact that you've got a lot of motivated sellers out there. Okay. Just before this live stream, I got an email on a listing in Prosper where it said, the subject heading said, make any offer.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get that one too?
No.
It was like a $900,000 house, but it just said, make us an offer, make us any offer. Right. And so that really helps with these assumables.
It's crazy. And I've had some clients recently look at a couple of homes and they went under contract in less than a week. So, and they had and a couple of them had multiple offers.
It is true.
So
it really, we had a client or was it last week? Asked about one. And of course they were just like, we're not even going to jump into this, this circle here.
Crazy.
Okay. I'll be honest. I prefer new construction, but boy, do I hate those pesky HOAs. Wish there was a way to buy new without HOA. I would gladly assume in that instance. That's so true, isn't it?
You can go buy land someplace and have it built.
That is true. You've got several builders. You've got Drees, you've got Coventry, you've got Partners in Building that will all let you build on your own lot.
Oh, and there's a ton of just custom builders anyway. So
a little riskier.
There's some good ones that are are down in the Ellis County way.
So I'm just saying it's a little bit riskier. all I'm saying. I agree with you though. Those HOAs.
Let's see where
they
all
really
their homes that they
are.
built.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where were we? Not arguing with you. I agree. Okay. 3% mortgage rates aren't dead. Housing market sees 127% increase in buyers taking over old loans. So, guys, when I tell you this is an up and coming thing, it is. While most conventional loans are not assumable, loans backed by the Federal Housing Administration, Department of Veteran Affairs, or U.S. Department of Agriculture are, if certain conditions are met. Fewer than 1 in 6 outstanding mortgages are potentially assumable, though they still represent a small share of total transactions. Assumable sales are slowly gaining traction. Of course, there are some real challenges with assumable mortgages, and there are. Not many assumable mortgages occur because they require a buy-in from both the buyer and the seller. What do you think they mean by buy-in?
Well, so the buyers got to bring in the cash difference. The seller.
For me, I thought. Go ahead. I was thinking it meant that they've got to be willing to agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's different because there's definitely going to, most time it's going to be longer, going to be a longer escrow period. And plus you don't know the pre-qual or the qualification process is different. So, yeah.
It is, and it can take longer. If you think about it, the lender does not benefit from letting a 2% mortgage continue, right? When the going rate is 7% or 6.5%. All right, let's see here now. Okay. Many folks in the industry don't exactly understand the process. It's very true. When you get a buyer's agent who understands it, then you're encountering a listing agent who doesn't understand it. So really, if you want to go this route, you need to go with somebody like us who understands the process, understands how to make this a win. The buyer must cover the difference between the outstanding mortgage balance and the purchase price of the home. This often requires a substantial down payment. And again, guys, I mentioned this earlier. Don't let that discourage you. If you're not there now, eventually you will be. Home ownership gets you there. Home ownership purchased carefully, right? Strategically. For example, if a seller has a $200,000 mortgage on a home selling for $300,000, the buyer will need to bring $100,000 to the table on top of assuming the seller's loan. Right. And guys, again, so you know, we're doing a lot of buyers that have these big down payments. So if that does not seem realistic to you, I promise you it's just because you're not your season. You will get there. Okay, you will get there. All right, let's see here now. However, there are options for those who can't afford such a large upfront payment, which is awesome. Buyers may take on additional debt and get a blended rate, which often comes out around 5%. All right, most people are shocked by this, but there are actually millions of potentially assumable loans, meaning the buyer can take over the mortgage and transfer from the seller. As of today, Rome's listing website exclusively showcases homes currently for sale with assumable loans in 18 states. And wouldn't you know, Texas is one of them. It's a great website you don't want to miss. All right, on Rome's site, you're asked to fill out a simple questionnaire. Then you're taken to a portal for your selected market. Okay. As active housing inventory for sale continues to rise and many pockets of the Sun Belt become neutral or buyer's markets, this is key, more sellers are willing to work with buyers to do an assumable sale. So, so you picture, a seller who it's been on the market for, months. Yeah. And suddenly somebody comes in and says, I'll assume it. They just want to sell. So suddenly they're flexible in ways you would not have previously thought. All right, this is what the website, guys, looks like. All right, and I'm going to actually go to the website, but this is the idea of what you're going to see with the website. Okay, it's called withrome.com. And let's go ahead and pop over there. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so here's one that I looked up. And the interesting things to know about this, a lot of information here, and I want to go ahead and show that to you. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, you have right here what the seller is asking for in price. Excuse me. And then right here, you have the estimated seller's equity. Okay, so that right there is going to tell you the difference between what they're asking and their mortgage payoff. Okay,
so you have to do a little math.
You have to do a little math there, but it's kind of helping you out there. Yep. This home has an assumable loan right? So it's telling you all about it. And right here, it's FHA 4.6%. Okay. This is in Chalk Hill in Salina. And if you look at this home, it's not all that different. I mean, we can look at the pictures. This is not all that different from new construction, right? This is a very nice home, even though it's lived in. So if you're thinking, oh, I only want nice and new, you know, if you're thinking assumable means an old house,
not necessarily.
It doesn't.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't.
can think
at
about
all.
when the rates were really low. So that was only 3 years ago.
Right. Most of these, the best rates you're going to get are like 2020, 2021. Okay. And then the first part of 2022. So, yes, this is a great comment. Very true. Seller paying off solar panels at closing. Talk about motivated. Yes, yes, that's so true.
That would be motivated.
Yeah, that would be, because most of the time they're like, oh, you can assume the debt. Man, sometime maybe we should do a live stream on solar panels so that people will just know not to do them. Okay.
I mean, we'd have to read their contracts and stuff.
Yeah. Just so that you know, lots of not great ideas that go with, if it's purely environmentally motivated, I'm not saying anything bad about that. Okay. I'm not at all. So please don't come after me for that. I'm just saying that it's going to cost your equity. All right. It's, and the salesmen are good. Oh boy, they're good. And they make all kinds of promises, but you have to specifically ask them, is this debt? Right. Is this debt? Because they're going to be like, oh, it's paid. You don't actually, doesn't cost you anything. No, this is debt. Okay, let me come back to this one. Realtor fees are omitted with assumables, right? DV, no, not necessarily. No, it's pretty much the same, where the seller is factoring that into his net proceeds, if the seller chooses to pay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's see here now. When the phase 2 at the Parks at Wilson will start? That's a very good question. Kind of jumping into new construction there. Let me let Dale look at that.
I don't think I'll say anything on it right now.
Okay.
I know I talked to them fairly recent. They weren't there yet, so.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look again. I want to show you guys this website. All right. So you can see again that this house, it's not bad at all because it's fairly new. I was looking earlier at, but you can see also the information. Okay. You'll be able to see square footage, and you will also see the MLS number, right? Because it's cross-listed. It's on the MLS as well. This is a less accurate. I would say this is less accurate. We've definitely found homes on here where the sellers are like, well, I don't know why that's on there because I'm not selling with an assumable. So just because you find it on there doesn't necessarily mean that it can go assumable. Let's see. Well, Dale's looking at that, but just a lot of good information here. Let me go ahead and show you. I want to show you something else here. Let's take a look at this. I wanted to show you this. I've got a lot of this blocked out here because I'm trying to honor the fact that Texas is a non-disclosure state. But what I wanted to show you is that as realtors, we can find out, we can dig into, with Rome is going to show you how much they want, right? Their equity. But what we're able to see is potentially like how much of a mortgage they originally put in. So this tells us how much wiggle room they have. Okay. So if you can picture that you can find out, okay, yeah, you're asking me to pay $75,000, but I know what your payoff is, or I'm reasonably close, right? Because I know you have equity. And also this kind of tells you to not waste time if they don't have equity, right? If you know you're going to come in with a lower offer, you know how much cash you have, you can look on here on this mortgage history, and you can find out. Now, like I said, I'm trying to honor the fact that Texas is a non-disclosure state, but I will tell you if you are comfortable looking at the deed records, you can find mortgage history. You can't find closed sales prices, but you can find out how much of a mortgage they took out. So there's that as well. Let me see. Let's go ahead and take another look at, I want to show you guys, share this tab instead. Let's go to With Rome because I want to show you what the cover page looks like. All right. Can you guys see that? Okay. Let me share that on the screen. And again, this is a great website. All right. With Rome. Now, what they're not going to do for you is they are not going to tell you any kind of closed prices, sales prices. So you're not going to be able to know is this priced appropriately or not? With Rome can't offer that, right? You have to have a license to do that.
Yeah.
But for example, let's just say we were looking in Salina. Okay, so I'm going to enter that. All right, so do you see all of this data? These are all assumable mortgages. Okay, all of these. But again, sometimes you have them and the seller will say no, but this is a lot. Okay, and then if you look on this side, look at that interest rate. Okay, 2.67, 3.375. Okay, look at all these. And if you look at these homes, these are not old homes. So if you were under the impression that, you could only assume an ugly house, that's not true at all. Like here's one in Prosper, 3.75%. I saw one earlier that was in Prosper ISD listed at like 425, but it's at a 3% interest rate. Let's see if I can find that one again. Where was that one? So you've got a lot here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This may have been the one. Okay. Yeah. Listed at 405, 404. Okay. So if you didn't think you could afford to get into Prosper ISD, all right, here's one listed at 404. It's at 3.2% interest rate. Okay. And then it has right here, the estimated seller equity is 149,858. Okay. And when they put that on there, that is the difference between what they're asking and what their payoff is. And so that's what they would like it to be. Right. And then I showed you that other way that you can look. But just know that there's nothing rigid about that. If you know they have equity and that they can come down on the price, you ask for them to come down on the price, right? So you can see that right here, view details, and this is in Prosper ISD. So maybe if you really want your child in Prosper ISD and maybe you thought you couldn't afford 404, right? Here we can get it at 3.2%. Yeah. Right. Okay. And so we've got another one here with the solar panels. Keeping the,
a lot of those.
Yep. Oh goodness. Solar panels. Don't get me started. It's like, all right. And so this is definitely a wealth of information. Without a realtor, you're at their mercy of what they think their house is worth. Okay. You don't have any reason to accept or believe or deny or any kind of validation that is the correct price or that price is supported. But yeah, so good stuff. Anything that you thought about with assumables? We can probably share some of our experiences with them.
If anybody's ever done one.
We did have one where, we learned the hard way that you've got to get pre-approved before you do it. Okay. Expect underwriting to be a lot stricter.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. If the house if the mortgage you're going to assume is listed for $400,000, and you get pre-approved with a third party lender at 7% for $400,000, okay, chances are you're going to get accepted. You're going to get accepted at 3%.
Yeah. For a lower.
Yeah.
Mortgage amount. Yeah.
Strategically wise, like I think Dale mentioned earlier, 2020, 2021, 2022. Okay. Those were good years for assuming mortgages. Those were the times that the rates were so low. And then, so if you see an assumable that was 2024, you're going to be like, well, where's the benefit in that?
Yeah.
Unless they bought it with a forward commitment, they're probably going to, the assumable is probably 6.5%, so that doesn't really make sense to pursue. But otherwise, a lot of strategy to be had. Be prepared. You've got to use an agent who knows how to explain it. Used to be that you had, I know back when my mom and dad were younger, you had non-qualifying assumables. And like literally they could just take it. But the problem is that the seller still had the liability.
If the buyer didn't pay, the seller was going to be responsible.
Nowadays, and if you're a seller and you're watching this nowadays, the idea that fact that it's a qualifying assumable means you're off the hook. If you decide you want to sell with an assumable loan, you will be released from that lien. Okay. And sometimes people who maybe came from that era, such as like my mom and dad, they'll tell you, no, that's absolutely wrong. They'll be like, no, you're not going to be released from that debt. Don't do it. It's a terrible idea. If they come in with a hard no like that, just know they're probably referring to non-qualifying assumables, and those don't really exist anymore, right? Unless it's like a really, really old mortgage. But now they're
I
qualifying.
don't remember how old they had to be. Yeah.
I don't know. I know my
There was
parents
a
did
year,
it.
I can't remember, but yeah.
My parents did it and they really regretted
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So-
Because the person they let assume it wasn't qualified
Mhm.
and they ended up defaulting. And it came back on my parents. So I remember that they really regretted it. But nowadays it's not like that. So as a seller, if you get that kind of bad intel, just know, because you'll get people who just don't know. They don't understand. But a lot of strategy, you want to find out how much equity they have, what their loan payoff is. You want to make sure that you follow the same trends. You still have an option period. Okay. And you still have, you're still going to have that inspection.
Mhm.
So, and those are those upfront costs that are going to happen before you're even know if you're pre-approved or not, or
Right.
approved for it. Right. And you're going to be dealing with like a 1-800 number. Okay. So like if you use a third party lender, like our preferred lender, Caleb, all right, you're going to be able to text him,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be able to
Yeah,
contact
you
them
may
on a
not be able-
personal
yeah.
level.
Yeah. But you will have a specific contact though to deal with. It's just that, yeah,
mhm.
it's not, you won't have a loan officer those specifically. Probably you're dealing with a processor. So,
Yeah. So for example,
or somebody that's, yeah.
yeah, like right now, if you
interfacing for
pick
them,
if
so.
you pick a third party lender, that at the out level, and they're just like they're motivated to close because they're going to get a commission, right? So just picture that they're like, yeah, I'm going to bend over backwards for you. Let's make this
Mhm.
happen. With an assumable, you don't have that. Like they're not going to get a commission
Mhm.
for letting you assume their loan. They're just coming to work every day and clocking in. So they don't really have any vested interest, which means that if you get an unresponsive one, you're going to have to be the squeaky wheel,
Yeah.
right? Or you let us work with you so that we can, assist you in that process. Let's see, never heard of the blended rate. How does that work? I mean, I think that is an excellent question. They're talking about a second mortgage there.
Yeah.
And I like that Withrom offers that because that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah, you don't see them a lot.
Yeah,
but
you really don't.
There have been more of these types of creative lending things coming up lately. Even ARMs are starting to come up. The variable rate
Mhm.
mortgages.
Those
They're
are coming
starting
back,
to come
huh?
up. Yeah.
Wow. It's also possible probably to.
But the rates are still kind of high
Still
on them,
kinda
though.
high.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say with assumables, I would think too that a really, really desperate seller could also do owner financing for the
Yeah.
seller as a seller second. Super high
Possibly,
risk.
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it for a seller, but you could potentially ask them to do
Yeah.
that. And somebody who's just really, really motivated, they might be willing to let you pay them for their equity
Mhm.
over time, right? Essentially a
Yeah.
second mortgage.
Usually you'll get a much higher rate on that, though.
Yeah. So I think with Rome on this, I think it is definitely worth considering this blended rate, this financing that they're offering.
So I can answer Parks at Wilson Creek real quick, I guess. Looks like Highland on their, if you look at their site map for Highland Homes at Parks at Wilson Creek, they're showing phase 2 and several lots available. So looks like they're already at least selling their Tradition Homes says September this year. Perry and David Wigley don't say, they just say it's coming soon, and you can join in on their VIP list or whatever to get updates. So
Cool. All right. There's your answer, Asif. All right. Let's see here now. Okay. Good evening, Madam Sir. Good evening to you. And Naredi. Let's see. Please share your thoughts on Coventry Homes. Out of 10, how do you rate Coventry Homes? Whew, that's a tough one. What do you think? I've definitely got opinions, but
what was
my video on that? Okay. So here's the thing on Coventry Homes. I've done 2 videos where I featured Coventry Homes. And what's interesting is the gap in time between them. When I did the first one, it was reviewing a series of homes, and their Google reviews were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were terrible. And so I rated them really low. Then I guess 6 months, I don't know, down the line, I did an individual review of Coventry, and suddenly their Google reviews were way better.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe they're improving their process here, because that was kind of encouraging, because I always look at the most recent reviews to kind of see if we're making progress or if it's getting worse. So from that standpoint, they still have a bad rating with the BBB. The BBB is not happy with them. Coventry, they have an interesting architecture that I really like, where they have the raised roof line behind your front elevation.
Yeah.
It's not super common, and I kind of like that look.
And they have some nice They do have some really nice plans, and they have some real. If you like one-story plans, they have some nice one-story plans as well. Their options are kind of pricey for what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's true.
And their deposits are fairly high. They're not the highest by far, but their deposits are fairly high. But I mean, they do make some good homes, some nice homes. So I've worked some deals with them a couple of times. So yeah.
So right now, don't you have one that's thinking about being under contract with Coventry? You're kind of in the process, so it is under contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or build. Yeah.
So overall, if you put Coventry up next to like Perry and Highland, which is kind of a similar price point, I would say that Highland and Perry are going to be better.
Highland,
a little bit
Highland's
higher.
Options. Well, no, actually, you can do more with their options with Highland. I think you can with Coventry, maybe. I don't know. They're, yeah, partly it depends on the plan you're using and the neighborhoods, the communities you're in as well too. So
Coventry is one of the few that will allow you to build on your own lot. And so I don't know if that's relevant for you or not already, but that's something to have in mind, is that there's very few that do that. However, from a new build standpoint, their website really is not all that helpful at all. I was just like, this is like you've got great websites with Drees and Highland Homes, where if you're doing a new build, man, they are just,
you can go in
so great
detail of figuring out what you want to get. So
and then you look at the Coventry website and you're clicking around going, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, is this all they have?
You got to find a good sales consultant that can help you. So, and fortunately, twice I've had really good sales consultants. So
that's good. That does make a big difference, doesn't it? It's so micro local in that way. I still just don't know, out of 10, how do you rate Coventry? Less than 5, I would say. Less than 5. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd probably go higher, but we haven't finished one yet. So in my head, so far it's been pretty good. So
okay. All right. Let's see here now. Is your preferred lender Caleb experienced in offering VA loans? Absolutely, he is. He had that one. We did one in South Lake that I believe he had it clear to close in like 10 days. From the time they opened escrow to the time they closed it. It was a great property in South Lake. Our buyer ended up with $105,000 in equity. We had negotiated the price down that much. And in those 10 days was Christmas.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy. And so he can do VA loans every day of the week.
And they closed out of the country too.
Yeah, they did. Oh, that was the other thing. So I think they closed in the airport. And so they're flexible for closing as well. Okay, let's see here now. Interesting question. Have you heard of a lender that is covering homeowners insurance fees? Is that what you meant? Insurance?
Assurance or insurance?
Assurance. Homeowners Association, or did you mean homeowners insurance? Not sure what you meant there.
Yeah.
Clarify that one for us.
Either way, I haven't heard of that. But,
this is what I was told about phase. That is what I was told about phase 2. Okay, so you had heard that as well. All right. Thanks. You are so welcome. Here he is. He's already clarified it. Have you heard of lenders that are covering the homeowners insurance?
No.
Meaning that they would pay it as closing costs, or that they would wrap it into the loan if there was equity, like if it was a cash out refinance. I've heard of it that way. Otherwise, I'm not sure. I know that, you can get assistance with your closing costs, and it can include escrow funds. All right, let's see here now. Oh, hello. How are you? That's right. We just got started. Hi, Wendy. It's Isaac. Yes, we just got started today. It's always good to hear your analysis. The housing market can't wait to work with you. Hey, we're excited to set up that text today. And I was like, yes, okay, let's do this. Okay. So I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys. So that's awesome. No, awesome. Yeah, you haven't been in the loop, but I've gotten to meet a beautiful, lovely family.
Nice.
In current market, Coventry Homes is not offering closing cost assistance in one of DFW's suburbs, which is definitely uncommon. Can I ask for closing cost assistance? Absolutely, you can.
Always ask.
Everything is negotiable.
You don't get anything unless you ask.
Yeah, absolutely. You can ask. Yeah, and we do. We ask all day long.
And that can change by community too, with the same builder.
That is true. So, that is very true. Very true.
It depends on how. What's their demand? I mean, are they selling? If they're selling homes pretty well there, then they're not going to cover anything. But if they are not, and they are a little bit slow, then they they probably have some incentives.
Yeah. I know that we were once negotiating a Meritage property where we had a buyer who liked a very specific floor plan by Meritage. And we were just going in because they've got a lot of inventory homes. And we were just going from community to community because our buyer had an open range of where they would buy, trying to get them to come down on price. And like in Anna, they wouldn't come down in price. And then I think it ended up being in Lavon that they were like, no, it was McKinney. That we asked them, hey, come down. And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
So even though it's the same builder, it can definitely differ by community, and always ask, always negotiate. And the other thing here is just say, and you're really good at this. You're really good at doing this. You just say, well, would you mind talking to your manager?
Oh yeah. I always ask because, just ask them to ask their management, okay, can we, because it, depends on the sales consultant, and the buyer and how the builder, how they have that set up. Some of them, they give more power to and budget numbers to, and some of them, they're just basically there to answer your questions, help you out. So I always ask them, well, is this something that can be brought up to management as an offer or something? So yeah.
Yeah.
And every builder works differently that way. So, but always ask.
The sales consultant, just view them as a gatekeeper.
Well, I'll also tell you, if you ask, especially if you're going to ask them to ask the sales management, try to come up with some data to support because that goes a long way. That moves it a little further. So usually.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You got to view that sales consultant as a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And they're allowed a certain amount of leeway. They're told up front that they can do a certain amount of things. And beyond that, they may just hard tell you, I can't, I'm not allowed to. Okay. So you're not allowed to. Would you mind bringing it up to your management? Right. Yeah. And we've been known to take it up multiple levels of management.
Couple times.
Yeah. We've taken it up to where that manager has said, no, I can't do that. Well, would you mind asking your manager? So you can keep, even when the sales consultant gives you a hard no, even that's not final. Just ask, well, would you mind talking to your manager? And then that manager, well, would you mind talking? How hungry are you guys? Keep going. And until, eventually at some point you're going to get a hard no when you've gone up multiples, but it's always good to ask. Definitely. All right, let's see here now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I wonder, I'll go back to
this one.
Yes.
Okay.
I wonder if I wonder if you're talking about escrow. If the mortgage companies will often, in fact, most of the time, escrow your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes. So when you look at your mortgage payment, it's broken down into principal, interest, insurance, and taxes. And they are saving. They have an escrow account where they're saving them their monthly amount that you're sending them. Then they make the payments, for you. But they're not paying it for you. They're not.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. It's still coming out of your pocket. It's not coming out of their pocket, but they're making the payment for you. That's what an escrowed account is. And that's where
you have to have a loan to value ratio of less than 80%. So be able to not escrow.
Yeah. And a lot of people get in trouble with escrows in new construction because they don't get the property taxes right. Lots of traps there. Well, guys, anybody else have any questions? Because if not, we are going to scoot and go have some dinner. All right.
No, we're not boot scooting.
No, not a boot scooting. No. By the way, we are not going to be here next week.
Oh.
We will miss all of you. We are taking the grandkids over for like 3 days because in a moment of questionable sanity, we decided to do this. We're going to take the grandkids out for like 3 days. We're taking them to, just kind of an overnighter. Hopefully we'll survive and see you the week after that. It's questionable. We'll see. Let's see here. Yes, I got it. I put a lot into my escrow. Yep. Yes, that's exactly right. Yep. Yes. They're writing the check that pays the insurance company, but it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Right. They're just a middleman. Yeah. It's just an escrow, which by the way, recently just thinking at rate buy downs, that's escrow too.
Yeah.
In that we'll have to spend some time talking about that as well. But guys, I hope this
several different ways. Yeah.
I hope this helped you see and consider assumables. Okay. Know that you're going to run into a lot of ignorance right? So if you talk to a realtor who says those don't exist anymore, or if you're, or the listing agent is saying those don't exist, or the listing agent tells the seller, never do that, because they will. If they've only heard of the non-qualifying kind, they may tell them, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. And if they don't tell them, their family members, their older family members may tell them that. Okay. So just know, very, very much something that you should pursue. And they don't have to be old houses. Okay. The definition of pre-owned is simply somebody's lived there that's not a builder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you could technically, you could get like a 2024 home that a buyer got a forward commitment on, and still get it at 4%, and assume it. So, all right.
Good night, Rhonda.
Good night, Rhonda. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, because we are going to be going crazy with the grandkids next week. Thank you both for another informative session. Thank you, Veronica. Have a wonderful vacation. Okay, vacation, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if it's going to be technically, like, to me, vacation I think relaxing, and I'm not so sure this is going to be relaxing. But if you see us 2 weeks from now, you'll know that we at least survived, and we'll have to tell you guys all how it went. So, all right. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna say goodnight here and go get some dinner. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will catch up with you again 2 weeks from now. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.